Hello, 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 DM Geezer Jim. We're continuing along in our next audiobook, Uncaged Faces of Sigil, second edition Planescape book, but an outstanding, outstanding read through, an outstanding book, one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons books, period. Even if you're not into Planescape, it's a very entertaining read. But the hope is that we get you interested in Planescape, get you interested in Sigil, and just provide a different style of book. We're going back in time here. We're back in 1996, damn near 30-year-old book here, and enjoying the old writing style. So first up on our list, we're going word for word, line for line, is this dude named Akin, pronounced however you want, A''Kin. So I'm going to go to single page mode here, and we're going to start reading. We're going to read through as normal for my audiobooks. First thing is we're going to do read through the book, or read through the entry word for word, line by line. The second part of the video we'll talk about how can we use this non-player character, how can we tie some adventure hooks into it, things like that. And as we get through this book, we'll probably start seeing a lot of interactions and links as we get through it. But enough of my blah blah blah. Let's get to reading. The first of our characters is Akin. When it comes to the dichotomy known as Akin the Arcanaloth, most bashers in the cage point to his name of his successful magic trinket shop to sum up his dual nature, the Friendly Fiend. A fine marketing ploy by pitchman Harris Hatches, or just the plain truth? One thing's for sure, Akin's got to be the best-natured Yugoloth this side of, well, anywhere. Of course, plenty of folks find it hard to swallow. Even after years of presenting himself simply and sincerely, Akin still brings out more suspicion than a thief in a church. The only thing outwardly fiendish about Akin is his appearance. Like most Arcanaloths, he resembles a tall, broad-shouldered human with a furry body, clawed hand, and the head of a fanged jackal. A wide black stripe of fear partially encircles his golden eyes, like a bandit's mask, staring at the outside corner of one eye, swooping across his white snout, and reaching the outside corner of the other. He wears a robe speckled with teal, gold, and black. It neatly hides most of his clean, sandy brown fur. Though the Arcanaloth greets customers with a grin, his prominent sharp fangs had made many a visitor hesitate in the doorway of his lower ward shop. Akin playfully admonishes the Puri in his low, raspy voice, come in, I won't bite." Once in the tall one-room shop, a Burke's just as likely to be given something as he is to buy it. A customer who comments on some ornament dangling from Akin's thick wrist or multiply pierced ears just might find it pressed into his hand by the smiling Yugoloth. Hundreds of bins line the shop's walls, each filled with small magical trinkets, toys, and gadgets, hypnotic tops, enchanted dice, and the like. When Akin sees a browser about to walk out without making a purchase, he reaches into the nearest bin with his big clawed hand and runs to the door, holding a tiny trinket up to the sod's face. "It's yours, friend," he says, "free of charge." No shoppers ever refuse these gifts because most are afraid to. Many feel such a fear is misplaced, as Akin seems as gracious and as big-hearted as a deva. Even when it comes to the shop's priciest items, magical longswords, special suits of armor, and the like, all displayed behind glass in the center of the room, Akin is a no-pressure salesman. Fact is, he often distracts customers with his pleasant chatter about a fresh new shipment of Elysian tea or a debut construction project on the street outside. Dabu, excuse me. Sometimes Akin surprises a customer by asking about her family members by names, asking about their family member by name, or inquiring about some trip or endeavor that they've recently undertaken. The Yugoloth always assures the customer that the two of them have discussed the subject before. How else could he know of such matters? Of course, a lot of folks just think the fiend knows more than they should, or has a way of extracting the dark of things before the extractee is even aware of it. As much as he shows interest in his clientele, Akin is quite shy of Burke's asking about him. "I'm merely a humble shopkeep," he says, bowing. Not a sage in town can place the day Akin first set foot in the cage, but the fiend built up his business in a hurry and took pains to fit in. And when asked direct questions about himself or his past, Akin gives only vague answers. "As like as not," he says, or "it's as certain as the spire," even achingly polite but painfully empty. "Thank you for asking." The fiend leaves it to others to pen his biography. And they do spread his story by word of mouth. Some say Akin is two-sided as the next Arcanaloth, hardly a friendly neighbor. No, they think he's been sent to Sigil to pick up the chant that might be useful in the Blood War. That's why he pries so sodding much with all of his customers. A body never knows when a seemingly pretty petty bit of chant might later turn out to be quite valuable. Whether the Arcanaloth is the eyes and the ears of the Dark Eight or under the thumb of a Baelor general, though, is up for debate. In the end, most of his detractors feel Akin sells information to the highest bidder, answering to one Burke and one Burke himself. One Burke only, himself. Other bashers see no reason why an Arcanaloth would be willingly and permanently leave Gehenna, since Arcanaloths draw their power from that infernal plane. These folks say Akin is in exile. Driven from his fiendish brethren, he had to make a new life within the cage and change his ways to turn aside the hateful stares usually cast upon his kind. Of course, he must have done something really horrible or really good to be judged unfit for fiendish company. To this day, or so the story goes, Akin lives in fear that the mysterious general of Gehenna will send a Nikoloth assassin to make him pay the music. If so, Akin's done a poor job of hiding out. He's known to every sod in the lower ward. Finally, there are those who swear the fiend is just plain barmy. They say that when he locks up the shop at night, he heads upstairs to his windowless quarters and screams, jumps, and throws himself against the walls. It's a way to let loose all the rage and evil he suppressed all day long. The fear is that Akin's going to snap one day in a shop full of customers, shredding them with his poisonous claws or burning them with his ability to produce flame. Maybe he leaves the cage each night via a lower plane or portal in his quarters. Or his years of false smiles and forced niceties might just be groundwork for the grandest deceit imaginable. Some folk wish he'd have public fits like another well-known Arcanaloth, Shemeshka the Marauder. At least that way a Burke would know where he stood with the fiend. That uncertainty is what makes Akin so dangerous. Of course, that uncertainty might also be the fiend's sharp mind at work. In any case, Akin's quite adept at his role, and he's having fun with it too. He dispels no rumors, answers no questions, and seems disinterested with his own life, but fascinated by everyone else's, which naturally makes him all the more interesting. And it sure doesn't hurt business either. So we get to our sidebar information here. This is going to be the little bit, the summary, if you will. Each of our NPC entries will have what's called the quick chant. Akin, he is a planar, male Arcanaloth, hit dice 12 plus 24, neutral evil. Use the Arcanaloth stat block for whatever editions you're using. We won't worry about the stat blocks. The double damage from cold. Personality. Yeah, I'm just going to skip over the stat blocks just because I don't know what edition you're using. It's a moot point to try to read 2nd edition if you're 4th edition, 5th edition, 3rd edition, right? So don't worry about that. You can see the spells for yourself. Let's get to the nitty-gritties here. The location. He can be found in... he's a personality, evasive, friendly, and gracious. He can be found in the Friendly Fiend, a magic shop in the lower ward. When you're role-playing Akin, you're eager to greet and chat with each customer, ready with a grin and a wink. Akin is friendly, perhaps too friendly. He acts like he's playing a game that his customers can see right through. Still, he and they follow the rules of social decorum, neither side admitting they know it's a game. In combat, Akin is evasive in combat, preferring to use his spells and so on to fend off attackers. If forced, he'll use his poison claws in self-defense. As a last resort, he'll teleport away from the scene. He's also connected with Estevan, Harris Hatchis, Alluvius Ruskin, Shemeshka the Marauder, Verdun, and Zedeus. Okay. So, that's the reading. That's the stuff. What do we have when we unpack this little bitty, this dude here? An Arcanaloth, which is an upper-level Yugoloth, the neutral evil fiends that run around on Gehenna, Hades, and a few of the other planes. This guy is different in that he truly acts friendly to the point of it being disturbing. Whether it's an act or whether it's real, your players are very likely to run into Akin if they shop for magic items, if you need them to. Akin is an interesting creature in that he is a source of information, both buying and selling. So he has a lot of open use in your adventures, in your campaigns. Maybe they need to go meet Akin to find out some information. Maybe they inadvertently disclose information to Akin and have to deal with it later. Maybe it's just simply as having something unusual as a friendly Arcanaloth running a magic shop. But however you choose to employ him, Make sure that you are overtly friendly, overtly inquisitive, to the point where it's very disturbing. And more than important, as just important than that, deflect, evade, and avoid any questions about his background. There was some information, some exact quotes given. Oh, no need to ask that. Well, it's as true as the spire is tall. And some of these statements, for example, the true as the spire is tall, no one knows how tall the spire is. But they know it's kind of tall, for example. So yes, running around with a kin is going to be he can be as minor as a hyped up merchant. He can be as major as one of a source of information, or he could just be simply a side character to add life. But as we're finishing up, the whole goal of each of these non-player characters was summed up in the introduction. We want this chaos donut called Sigil to be a living, breathing place. It feels alive. It's this enclosed structure that is the home to nearly every race in the multiverse. Okay? It can be overwhelming to try to portray Sigil to your players. It can become so much where it's sensory overload. Relying on non-player characters within a shop or in a bar, in a social situation, is a good way to kind of break through the chaos of everything all at once and get into more specific things. So, you can run a kin as a friendly uncle type guy, or you can have them be this extreme betrayer. His overall impact on Sigil and on a Planescape campaign has not been determined. He's not connected directly to any adventures, so he's kind of your own to use as you will. But alrighty, guys, thank you so much. This was our first real NPC in this series. I'll probably knock out one or two of them a day, time willing, Lord willing, and we'll continue on series. Likes, follows, subscribes are appreciated, man. Join us on Twitch for live chat. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or ideas about each of these non-player characters, would love to hear from you in the comments as well. But above all else, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon.